I've been so excited to speak with you.
Oh
Look at
my God,
you.
same. Yay. It's so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you. Like even though I know you, like
Right. I
meet
know.
you.
Right.
Thank you for
We're
coming
taking our
on.
relationship to the next level.
Oh my God, I know. And even before this, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I need to ask Sarah to do a reading for me sometime when I get paid.
Let's do
I would
it
love that.
anytime. I would love to set that up for you.
Because I do my own tarot. I've done tarot for 8 years, but I've only ever seen one other tarot card reader. And yeah, it was interesting. But after I did that, I was like, I reckon I have some psychic ability. I reckon I could do this. Like my intuition's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I have them next to my bed, and I have like my oracle cards and my affirmation cards. And last
Beautiful.
night I did my Mercury retrograde reading.
Ooh, what's coming for you? You don't have
Wait,
to tell
I'll
me.
get my book. No,
Okay.
I'll tell you. Wait. I write the book down. Yeah. So for work, I got Nine of Wands, Three of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Queen of Wands.
Okay.
So I'm going to be exhausted,
Hmm.
feeling a bit drained, a few little conflicts. I mean, of course, it's Mercury retrograde,
Yeah.
and then there'll be towards the end there'll be like hard work paying off, and then perhaps some type of like role modeling going on, some type of leadership. And then in my love life, which is like fucked always, it's like Seven of Cups, Queen of Swords, Six of Swords, Ten of Cups, which is I'm pretty sure this guy that I'm currently off on, I reckon he's going to come in with an apology, and I
They
have to
always
set
do.
very. I know.
Mercury retrograde. It's like clockwork.
Well, this is what it is, right? Like the oracle card that I got, it says returning to each other, compassion, humility, and then I got those for the right wraith. I can't rider right. I don't know the normal tarot cards, and but basically they're just telling me, like my spirit guides are just telling me to be like, set your boundaries, be nice, but go out and live your life.
I like that.
And then yeah, and then for self it was like growth, be artistic, spend quality time with family and friends, and keep the long-term picture with finances.
I love that.
I know. I just got a new little like journal because
Nice.
I've been getting back into like witchcraft.
Beautiful. That's amazing. I'm happy to hear it. Everyone should be a
I
witch.
know.
Everyone is a witch.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Sarah Potter, and I work as a psychic medium, tarot reader, and professional witch. It's
Yes.
so fun to say that.
It's so badass. I love it.
I
I
gotta
love
tell
it.
you, I've been doing this for years now, and I am like very excited every time I get to tell people what I do for work. Like just as excited, like actually probably more excited now than like I was in the beginning. Now I'm just like, because I felt like it was
I
a little
love it.
like
Oh,
this is wacky, and actually there's nothing wacky about what I do. I love it. So
oh my God, there's
it's
nothing wacky about it. I went to Bikram yoga tonight, and the lady, I've never been to Bikram yoga, and the lady was like, "You're going to think we're all really weird." And I was like, "Bitch, I have an altar in my house. Like, I don't
thank
think you're
you.
weird."
This is the thing, like I feel very strongly about this. Like it's funny because I feel like first we're all weird. Like everyone's weird in their own way, but also can we stop leading the conversation with like, okay, everyone's feeling like we're weird. Like if you tell people that, then they're like, yeah, this is weird. But if you're just like, this is totally normal, and what we're doing is very connected to mind, body, spirit. I mean, I guess no one's really talking like that. I'm just saying, like, it's not weird. So let's not lead the conversation with like, oh my God, we're being so freaky and weird as if that's a bad thing. I mean, when I'm hearing it's freaky and weird, I'm leaning in and I want to know more.
Yeah,
But, but you set the tone for the story. So it's just like, this is just
totally.
totally a facet of life.
No, totally. So how did you get into becoming a witch? How did that
So
start?
I feel like you just innately know it forever. Like, I feel like witches, so many witches I know we all share so many of the same like childhood memories. Like, I was in the backyard, like making potions with the grass and flowers and talking to the animals. And, I just like love chattering with like the squirrels in my backyard. Um, but I feel very lucky that my family was very encouraging. My mom was very encouraging. I was having like, it feels funny to say psychic visions as a kid, but that's exactly what was going on. And my mom was never like, this is weird. It was just, it was encouraged, it was celebrated, it's in my family anyway. And so to me, I mean, children are so open to everything. They don't have that weight of adulthood. They don't have the doubts of what they're feeling and seeing that just happens as we grow up. And I feel like I never shut that off. I tried to. I will be the first to admit sometimes that got to be very intense, feeling everything and seeing these things that felt like weird. But I tried very, very hard to shut it off. And then eventually you just surrender to it and go with it. That's what I did anyway. So, and I grew up in the 90s. Like, the craft was so cool. And Sabrina the Teenage Witch was so cool.
Yes!
Like, there was just like, there were witches emerging in different versions in pop culture. And I think the more we see something, the more comfortable we get with it. And so it was just, I mean, to me, it was like inevitable. It was always there. I just feel like it was probably, I always would say to people like, oh, it's 12 was when I really embraced witchcraft. But on further reflection and thinking about it, it's at 12 that I realized not everyone else was indulging in witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big turning point to see that, where it's like, oh, like, not everyone is talking to spirits. Not everyone has the spirit of an old lady in their house that they talk to every day. Like, it was part of my world. And it was until I feel like around 12, I started really understanding that not everyone was having this experience. Some people were totally weirded out. But when I was 12 was when I bought my first witchcraft book. And it was something like, I still have it actually like on my bookshelf over here in my apartment, but it was called, I think it was like to stir a silver cauldron or something. Like, it was so good. It was so witchy and fun and magical. And I was like, I am doing spells and I'm going to make everyone fall in love with me and we're just gonna have some fun.
I love this. This is so good. And people won't be able to see the video, but I'm like grinning from like ear to ear. Like, I'm so happy. I love this energy. It is so good.
I'd love to hear it.
So, what was your like first, maybe not the first, but what's your most significant early memory of like your first psychic ability? What was that like?
You
And you
know,
don't have to share it if you don't want to, but like anything that you would like to share.
sure. You know, I wish I just remember like talking to my mom about my dreams when I was very little. Like I want to say like 6 years old. And then what I would see in the dream would happen. And honestly, like sometimes it was very mundane. Like it wasn't always so because like I mean the human experience involves a lot of like boring aspects. And I feel like, you know,
Totally.
there are like I have had these visions that have been wild and extraordinary, but the early ones were pretty like whatever. And um and I do remember I remember being about around that age, 6 years old, and my mom was talking to like an acquaintance of hers, and he crouched down to say hello to me. And I went and like, I like kind of like backed up and like hid behind my mom. And like, I was just like, I remember being like, I don't want to talk to him. And my mom's like, that's okay. You don't have to talk to him. And and then like afterwards, I said, I was like, I just got a really bad feeling about that man. And I remember I telling her, I was like, he lies. He lies about everything. And my mom's like, okay, like could be. And then 2 weeks later, it was out in the local paper that he had been embezzling from his company and was going to jail because it was someone who was kind of like prominent in the local community.
What?
And
Yeah.
so it was like, and like that's something I will like, I just like cannot say how like cool my mom is, because my mom was like, I remember my mom showing me the paper and being like, this is the man that you didn't want to speak to, that you told me was lying about everything. And you know, because I think like children were so impressionable. I mean, we're all susceptible to criticism. I think it's like, if my mom, that could have gone a very different way if my mom was like, be polite, say hi to him, like, no. And like, but my mom always honored my instincts, my intuition. If I didn't like the, like, my mom always said, she's like, if you didn't like someone, if you said something about someone, I paid attention to it. And she was like, and so, and she always tells me and reminds me, like, especially if I'm having like a hard day at work and I call my mom, she's like, you always knew. And she'll remind me even of like that situation with that guy. And she's like, and that like always trust that. And so I really like, I can't say it enough. I give my mom so much credit because she always encouraged me. She always backed me up. She always listened to me. And what I was seeing and feeling never made me feel like I was like just being like a silly kid or like dumb. Like, I know that one of the reasons I can really so strongly trust those visions is because from such an early age, she was like, you got to listen. And she was
What are the
listening to it.
Yeah. What are the visions like that you have now? Are they still through dreams, or is it just like a download that you get, or
It's different. Sometimes they're dreams. And now I also feel like I feel really confident in something where sometimes I'm like, that was just a dream. Like, that really was my subconscious working something out. And the dreams that are prophetic and visionary feel very different to me. And I write them down, and sometimes there'll be something like, this doesn't make any sense, like, I don't know what this was, but I love keeping a dream journal. I think everyone should. And then I'll look back on it and I'll say like, oh my gosh, like, whoa, like this all came true. But I also feel like I think like download, I think, is a good word, because sometimes it just hits me, and I feel like it's almost like, yeah, just receiving this information that I've acquired. I don't question it. I feel open to it. I receive it. If it needs to be transmitted, I share it. And that's usually in a session. I I find myself struggling sometimes when I get these very strong messages and I don't know what to do with them, because I really believe in integrity, and I truly believe that it's not my responsibility to save the world. I used to think that was my responsibility. It's actually not. My responsibility is to be a kind and good human, and when people hire me for sessions, it's my responsibility to be the best vessel for those sessions. But I don't want to be that person who's just like running up to someone and saying like, I have a message for you. And I have to have
Mm.
really, I think, really strong boundaries. And and I have to have people around me who respect my boundaries, because friendships I found do not work if someone is constantly being like, oh, like, is my grandmother here? Or what do you think of this? Are you getting any messages for me? Are you did it like, because then I just feel like I'm someone's magic 8 ball that they shake up on their desk or whatever.
Yeah.
And um, so it's funny, you asked what the visions are like, and I kind of focused more on how what I do with them. But it's just like it feels like a really strong knowing, information that's here that I don't know where it came from, but it's arrived and here it is. And I might just file it away, or I might just be like, that's nice, and let it go. And uh it's and they do appear in different ways. Like there's been fragrances. uh it was funny, actually. I have a good story about this one. I
Okay.
My best friend and I went to an art show in the East Village recently, and we were in this room looking at the art, and I turned to him and I was like, there is such an intense smell of hay in here. I have to get out of here. It was like being in a barn. Like I was just like, and I was like, ugh, like it just reeks. And I have to get out of here. And I like, because it was also like a crowded room and everything. And so I stepped out into the street, and he followed me a few minutes later. And I was like, did you smell that? I was just so intense. Like this just like hay, barn, like ugh. And I was like, and he just started laughing. He's like, no, I did not smell that. But remember, I'm having a very different experience on this planet than you are. And I was like, oh yeah, like I mean, I forget, honestly. Like I forget, because it's just like I feel like what I see and what I feel and what I experience is so intensely strong. It is a little unbelievable to me that no one else is feeling and seeing and experiencing the way I am. And then he's like, this area was all stables. And I
Mhm.
was like, I had no idea, like truly no idea. And so, like, I mean, those kinds of things, I have to laugh at that. Like, that to me is
I love
hilarious.
that. I think that's so good. I think that's
And like,
amazing.
and there's like, I mean, there's been things that have been, I don't know, kind of wildly shocking that I've seen, like maybe about like someone's personal life that like I'm not asking to see, but it's so wanting to be seen and exposed sometimes when I go into a room. And like, I mean, like it's just kind of one of those things I turn over to the universe, and I trust that whatever needs to happen will happen, and I don't really need to be a part of it. But there's also things like that with at the art show that I think were just really funny and kind of mundane, because I feel like everyone wants to hear like the juicy stuff, like the spirits, the dead relatives, but like there's some pretty like just
Yeah.
funny ordinary things that happen too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I I don't really have much interest in hearing from my dead relatives or like dead friends, but one of my this guy I used to see, and he passed away by suicide. His name was SK. And whenever I see like an S or a K somewhere together, like I was out shopping with my family, and there were these numbered bags, right? And they were set up in alphabetical order, but the S and the K were like together. And I was
Mhm.
having a really difficult day, and I was like, oh, he's here. Like, that's so nice. Like, that
Is
stuff I'm cool with.
Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like moments like that you just described make life so magical. It feels
So
so
good.
warm. it's that reminder of connection. And I feel like being open to those signs, it's truly wonderful. Oh, that's
But
incredible.
I have no interest of ever going and seeing someone and being like, can you connect with them? And like, because I'm like, just let them
Yeah.
rest. They'll come through when they want to come through. Like, you know.
Yeah, they have plenty to do over there.
Yeah.
They make their presence known.
Yeah. So what do you think about the afterlife? Like, do you believe in like heaven and hell and things like that? Or do you believe that we all just kind of go to like a limbo space or
You know, I really don't know what happens. And I'm okay with not knowing. I feel
Mhm.
like something the I feel like so much of my work is in this liminal space, this astral space. But because I spend so much time there, it actually makes me really appreciate the human experience. Like, I love being a human. I love being present in this realm. And it's I I've experienced death since I was a very young child.
Mhm.
I experienced what felt like to me dying and coming back into my body as a teenager. I'm not afraid of death. Work has made me truly understand that death is a part of life. But my grandmother passed away last summer, and she's the person that I am like closest to. Thank you. I She's the person I'm closest to. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's because I'm a Virgo. I was really trying to rationalize my feelings around this because um and it was so perplexing because I was like I would never respond this way to a friend, a client, anyone I love and care about, or anyone at all. But we're harshest on ourselves. And I feel like I was just kind of having this. I mean, I was in such grief. So, you're not thinking clearly. And I was like, well, why am I struggling with this when so much of my life is being able to communicate with spirits in other realms? So why do I miss my grandma so much? And it's like, it's actually like very embarrassing to even admit, but it's like, I've been like working through it and talking about it a lot lately. Um, and I mean, she makes her presence known to me constantly. Um, and I feel her around me, but death is hard. And work has taught
Mhm.
me, like, as much as I kind of work with the dead and people who are in other realms, but I'm really here for the living. I'm here for humans. And a lot of my work is psychic mediumship with the messages of how someone can be supported in this lifetime. So, I mean, I absolutely believe in an afterlife. I absolutely believe that something happens. I don't think it's something that humans understand. I don't think I think the idea of heaven and hell is quite exciting in a theatrical sense of like, ooh,
Yeah.
like floating on a cloud all day and playing the harp just sounds really lovely. I mean, that's like my vision, and or having like everything you desire and being at peace. I do feel like there's a sense of peace and calm in the afterlife. I think hell just is not what people think it is. and but I really am okay with not knowing what that is. Like, how could we know?
Mm. Yeah, totally. And also now that I'm thinking about it, because I was reading Buckland's Guide to Witchcraft, And yes, and I was learning about, so I didn't grow up in a religious household, right? Both my parents are Buddhists, but it's not really like a religion, it's more of a philosophy, you know.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I was just thinking about that and I was like, oh yeah, heaven and hell is a Christian concept. I've read the book of Satan by LaVey when I was 18, and they don't believe in that either. I don't know. I honestly think it's exactly like what you said. It's just very peaceful and very nice. Because I've smoked DMT before, and apparently that's what you
Mhm.
release when you die. And that
Yes.
was beautiful. Like that was really beautiful, but it made me not want to take drugs anymore because it was
Yeah.
just too beautiful. Like I was just like, I'm
Yes.
done now. Like I'm good.
Yeah, DMT can ruin all the other drugs. I feel you.
Oh no, like literally, Sarah, I thought I had died. And so
Yeah.
and after that I was like, I'm sweet. Like
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson here. Like I don't need to do that anymore. Um,
I feel you.
but yeah, no, sorry, backtracking on that comment. But yeah, no, I don't know. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, I want to get off the death subject though. And thank you for sharing that with me and everybody else. That's like really beautiful. I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother passing. And um yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
hard.
Well, I relate everything to tarot, and the Three of Swords was always my favorite card as a teenager. I mean, can you tell I was feeling things deeply? This, like, the card of despair and heartbreak and deep sadness and grief. But spending so much time with that card gave me such a deep appreciation and understanding of the card, and I love continuing to explore all of the cards, but that one in particular. I mean, it's so visually striking, that the heart with the three
Yeah.
swords pierced, and the rain and the clouds and the water. But the reversal of that card is the releasing of emotions, and that's how you move through things. And I think it is, I think it's you move through things by talking about it, releasing it, and being able to speak about that kind of struggle of how I feel like I truly love what I do, and I do love experiencing life like this, but having these abilities isn't always easy,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding it can be challenging. I feel like I'm in a much better place of acceptance now than when I was younger, but I think it's good to, like, talk about what you're afraid of, and it gives you your power back over these moments. And I truly believe that when we share what we find to be the darker parts of ourselves, or the things we don't want to look at, it's the human experience. And I would love to share that in case someone else needs to hear it, and can just know, like, there's nothing logical about grief, there's nothing linear about grief, and whatever you're feeling is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel ready to look at it, you can explore it, and that's how we keep moving forward. So thanks for letting me share it.
Of course, always. Always. But you brought up tarot. So tell us about your journey with tarot. When did you first discover it and get your first deck and all that jazz?
I love tarot. It's just, I mean, it's the best. Everything is in these cards. Um, and I feel like tarot works for me because it's visual, and I love the imagery. I love the storytelling. I got my first deck when I was 12. There's like this whole myth that you can't buy your own tarot deck. It has to be gifted to you. That's trash. I walked right into the mall on the Jersey Shore to this, like, silly, funny boutique, East Meets West. It's still around. They had, like, I can just, like, I don't even think anything's changed. They were like beaded curtains in the windows, and like Grateful Dead t-shirts, and tapestries that were, like, very psychedelic. And in the back room, they had like tons of tarot decks. And I remember like looking at all of them. And I just remember thinking, like, this holds the key to all of the answers. Like, I have a lot of questions, and I know that there's something here. And I even then there were so many options for different decks. And I remember there was this one like cat people one that I was like, ooh, like very intrigued by that one. But something felt like that image of the magician on that Rider-Waite deck. I was just like, he's speaking to me. That's the one. And I actually I don't know if they re-released it, but I started seeing that cat people deck more. And when I was on Michelle T's podcast, she had told me more about, because I was kind of talking about it. And she was like, I know exactly the deck you're talking about, because I never really thought to look it up. And I have that deck now. So it took some time, but I did pick that one up. And so yeah, that was like my first tarot deck. And you know, there wasn't the access to information like there is now. Like, I think it's so fantastic how much information is available. But like, I had some books, and there was an AOL chat room that met on like Sunday afternoons, where like, who knows who I was talking to. But that's where I was getting some of my tarot information and witch information, which is, I don't know, that just still cracks me up. Like, I was like, I need to know, and I don't know where to go. But my Silver Cauldron book showed the that people were going to this AOL chat room. So I was like, me too. And and so that's where I found out, you know, you wrap your cards in a silk scarf. So like, I had to do that. And I got one at a thrift store. And I my
Wait. What do you
Yes.
mean you have to wrap them up in a silk scarf? I've never heard of this before.
Oh, that's what I heard in my AOL chat room. That's
Why
where,
do
like,
you do it?
that's like what like the readers they were telling me. Like, I think it's just, you know, what they were telling me, and like, because I have seen that in other places.
Wait, is it like with a crystal ball? How with a crystal ball you have to make sure it's got silk over the top of it?
Yes.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it's like, and what they were telling me is like, this is that your cards are very special. So treat them as something that is like very important and very special. So I remember I would I would like really like lovingly like wrap my cards in a silk scarf. I have to tell you, I actually don't do that now. Like, I keep my cards in a wooden box. But yeah,
because I've never done that. So.
Yes. It might have been a 90s thing. I don't know. But like, because I've heard from like other people, they're like, oh yeah, like that's what you did. And actually no, I have some friends who still do it. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. It's just, for me, like, look, I'm a Virgo. It's not very practical for me
I'm a
to like.
Virgo too.
I forgot.
Well, I'm a Virgo Libra, but I'm more of a Libra than a Virgo if you're going to go on star placement or star chart, but I am a Virgo.
Okay. Well, you know, I have to bring a dose of practicality. And like, I keep,
Yeah.
it's hard. I don't know, like that silk scarf, it's like flipping around, and like the cards I work with, like, they're actually right here. I keep them in this like wooden box.
Oh,
It's
I
hard.
love that.
Right. It's good. So I,
That's gorgeous.
I know. Well, and you know, it still gives me that same thing where it's like that same idea of reverence. This is something special. This is something to be protected. And that's why I keep the cards like in their special box. And plus it's easy to travel with. And so yeah, my best friend's mom read cards. And so she, you know, I feel like at 12, like, I couldn't do this all on my own. I didn't really know other witches my age. So I asked my best friend, I was like, let's like both be witches. And we loved watching The Craft. So it was like kind of a, why not? And so her mom like taught us some stuff, and we had like the little book that came with the cards, and we would just give each other readings. And I was like really trying to master that like Celtic cross spread. And that was tough. I was like practicing and practicing and practicing, and like I never use spreads. Like I think they're great for learning, but I never use them now. But I still think about that, and I'm like, I was thinking about it actually over the weekend. I was like, I haven't done a Celtic cross spread in ages. I was like, maybe I should do that just for fun sometime soon. But and yeah, we would just do readings, and I I did like I got in trouble in middle school for doing readings instead of like when we were in gym class, and like I was like people would pay me $1 for a reading, and the gym teacher was so angry that like I wasn't excited about kickball, and that I was like he said I was like hustling with fortune telling, and he sent me to the principal's office, and they called my mom, and my mom was like, why are you wasting my time? Send her back to class. But I do think it's like very funny. And I was like joking with my mom recently because we were talking about it. And it's like, I have never used kickball in my life. Like, I don't know what a value that offered, but I think doing tarot readings has served me pretty well. So, how dare they send me to the principal's office? I was like, they should have been
Really?
celebrating entrepreneurship.
Yeah. What the fuck? Why aren't they teaching this at school?
Right? Exactly. No, we got to do kickball.
No, I remember when I got my tarot deck and I had just moved back to Brisbane from Sydney, and I was hanging out with this girlfriend of mine, and I didn't know that she had just had an abortion. And I was doing this spread for her, and I was like, did you have like a loss in your life recently? Were you pregnant? And she was like, yeah, I just had an abortion. And I was like, oh my God. And then I've stopped doing tarot readings for people after that because that really wigged me out. I
Yeah.
didn't like that. I didn't like that I even said that to her and made her say yes to that. I felt like it was not okay. So how do you, when that comes through, how do you gauge those types of things?
It's really hard. It is. I I've had experiences like that, and but what I can tell you is I I don't really do readings for fun with my friend. And like I'm not saying like you guys were clearly having a serious moment, but for me, I have to have like I have plenty of my friends do get readings from me, but they book a session.
Mm.
And there's something about being I feel like being in that container, being in that space where and I quite a bit of my day is like ritual and devotion and meditation, setting the stage for the work I'm going to do, clearing the energy before, clearing the energy after. And in the prayer I say before every reading is like, may whatever needs to come through in the highest good. May I only see what needs to be seen. And I feel that I really have to remove myself from the reading. And it's just like, I don't know why I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I can't put any of my own experiences or impressions on that. And because to me, like that's channeling. Then whatever comes out and is said, then we talk about it. And I'll say to someone like, and it's immediate. And I'm just like, do you want to talk about that? And sometimes I'll do it before. Like I'll say like, do you want to talk about your marriage? Because some people don't want to. Like sometimes they're not interested. That's not what they want to do in a reading. They want to talk about work and they want to talk about only work. And I can respect a boundary. Sometimes I will say like, if you do want to talk about this another time, we can book another session. But there's some it. I'm being. I know we're here for a work reading, but this is coming up. But why don't you sit with that? And like sometimes, and it could be later in the session, they want it. Like, actually, can we go back to that? But something that also was a very big turning point for me was early in like my professional tarot reading life. I was doing a reading for someone, and I could see very clearly that they were about to get divorced. And it was going to be kind of one of those long, dragged out divorces. And I remember thinking, oh, that's just so sad. Because I think, my first instinct was thinking about just how tragic divorce can be. And so I did tell that client what I was seeing. And she was like, hallelujah. And started like, she was just like so excited and started celebrating. And she was like, oh, Sarah, that is the greatest news I have ever heard. And I was like, I gotta tell you, was not expecting that response. And then we had like a good laugh, and we talked about more about what that entailed, how she could be supported during a long um what looked to be like a long divorce. But she was like, I don't want to be married anymore. And she's like, I want to get out of this relationship. And it's just like that moment was such a learning experience for me, where it was just like, you cannot assume anything, because something that you might think is happy might not be happy. Something that you think is sad might actually bring a ton of joy to someone. And what I've decided is, what I've come to realize, it's not for me to decide what is good or bad. I can just present the information and offer support with what's being received, if that's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I'm just processing everything.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like, I don't take work lightly. Like, I really
Mm,
do feel like a great responsibility in what I do. And so it's also just, it's very important to me that I I am of my best, so I can do my best. Like, I want someone to get a fully present me, and I want to do everything I can to do that the best I can, which means taking care of myself and not overscheduling myself, and uh, doing all the basics, eating, sleeping, taking time off so I can reset and recharge. And that's been a journey to understand that. Like that's been like a difficult understanding to get to, but I feel like I have a much better grasp on it, and life feels a lot more enjoyable and better, and
I
that
love that. I would
reverberates.
hate to think about you ever like not being this happy, joyous person that I've always seen. It would
That's
breaks my heart to think about that.
Oh, that's so kind
Honestly.
to say. I got it. I think the reason why I can live this way is because it wasn't always like this. I feel like I've been in the depths of dark
Yeah.
shadows, and but life can change, and there's
Yeah.
so much. There's so much that I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot in this world. There's a lot to be human, but I do feel like we have a lot of personal responsibility, and there's a lot to be hopeful for, and there's a lot of joy to experience, and I I like where I'm at now.
Nice. I love that. So wait, I want to
Hmm.
ask you a question about tarot on TikTok.
Oh yeah, okay, ask away.
So what do you think about tarot on TikTok?
Okay. So I have to admit, I find TikTok to be very difficult and very overwhelming because of how rapid it is. Like, I feel like it's a lot of like quick cuts, quick cuts. It's very difficult for my brain. Um, and I see how people get addicted to it. Like, I've had so many people tell me, like, oh, I just spent like 4 hours on TikTok. Like, it's so addictive. So I have to, and like, I'm on TikTok, like, I do create content on there, but I don't really I don't scroll on it. Just to be like totally honest, because I feel like it is scrambling my brain. That is not relaxing to me. It's to be very real, it is not enjoyable to me. And I want to, in my free time, well, actually, no, I want to enjoy myself like 100% of the time. There's always things I don't necessarily want to do, and I have to, but that is not how I want to spend my free time. And it's actually very difficult for me to even like see the value of it to work. I think it works really well for some people. There's been times where I've gotten contacted by different press outlets to comment on things that are going around on TikTok. And I'm like, this is some of the most like deranged, unhinged stuff I've ever heard of. Like, I have no idea where this came from. When like there was like witches hexing the moon. I got called to comment on that, and I was like, what? I was like, what does that even mean? Like, that's not even something you can do. So that's the thing that I really feel about, to answer your question. Information spreads very quickly and goes viral, I feel like, so rapidly on TikTok, unlike in any other place on the internet. And because of that, I think there's a lot of misinformation because, like I don't know, like a lot of my friends are into TikTok, my assistant's into TikTok. So they tell me about what they're finding, and they'll ask me questions, and I'm like, I have never heard that before. Or like, that's interesting. But what I do like is I feel like because of that like viral nature and the way information is spread, the positive is I think a lot of people got turned on to tarot, especially earlier in the pandemic. And it's what we were talking about earlier. The more people see something, the more comfortable they get with it. And I truly believe it doesn't matter how you find the occult. Whatever your entry point is, that is your entry point. Walk through, enjoy, experience, learn, study. I would hope that anyone who is like into like tarot on TikTok, let that be one place that you get your information. I would encourage you to like seek out as much as possible, and that's just one place you go. But there's a wealth of information there. But something else that I think is really important to remember is that being a star on social media is one skill set, and being a good tarot reader is a completely different skill set, and they don't always mesh. So consider the source of where your information is coming from, and learn as much as you can. And I wouldn't get all of your information from tarot TikTok. That's
What about the readings that pop up? Like you'll have sometimes I'll have like 5 different readings in one little like scroll, and I'll be like, because I'm one of those people that can sit on TikTok for like 8 hours and be like, yeah, oh my, no, but it does scramble your brain, because then I'll be like sitting in traffic the next day and I'll be like, why isn't this going faster?
Right.
You know?
Yes. I don't need anything in my life that's making me like less patient. Okay, so what else?
Like the readings that pop up and things, do you think it's just like an algorithm based thing, or do you think it's like actually like a proper reading? I mean, sometimes I watch some and I'm like, you didn't even shuffle that deck, or how do I know that those cards came out properly? Like, you know what I mean? And I'll just be like,
you know, what I say is like, I feel like, hey, if a message needs to get to you, it's going to get to you. So it might be through TikTok. And like, I do feel like maybe there's something in here. You know, I've heard some people say like, oh, like like, oh, like this, it was very general. And I was like, and I don't know, do you think that was for me? And I'm like, it found you. And I was like, there's all different types of readings. Like, some aren't going to be so finely tuned. And like, I also feel like in something like that, where it's a collective reading, it's for the collective. I feel like if you found it, it's meant for you. And but if it doesn't feel right, pay attention to that. Like, to me, it's like, I'm a big fan of discernment, and like, really, like, I would honestly pay more attention to how you feel when you see that reading. That's going to tell you everything.
Yeah. Okay, I love that.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just so interesting. Because, I don't know. Like, I'll like get certain readings, and then I'll be like, nah, that's not it. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's it. Like I'm like,
Yeah. Well, because I think that there's a difference between hearing something you don't want to hear and knowing it's
Mhm.
true, and then hearing something and being like, that's completely off base. Like, that is not for me.
Yeah, it's more the latter more than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
Um,
So trust it. Trust
okay, so
yourself.
if you had any tips for people who are doing tarot for the first time, or if they're like me and you've had it for ages, put it away and come back to it, like,
Mhm.
or I guess what are like the things that you find most beneficial? Like, what are your tips?
I say, like, get to know your cards. Like, they're not of service if they're just sitting in that box, or if you feel like, I understand feeling intimidated, because this is a very valuable tool, and you're going to be unlocking secrets. You're going to be learning more about yourself. That can feel a little intimidating. And it's a deck of 78 cards. Each card holds multiple meanings. Like, this is something truly, the more time you spend with it, the more enjoyable it is, the stronger your relationship will be. Like, the more you're going to understand nuance. And I think a really great way to begin to get to know the cards and to get to know how they become this more like multi-dimensional, multifaceted uh transmitter of messages is to do a daily card pull. And I think it's really lovely to set aside time, do a brief meditation, do some deep breathing, asking the cards, what do I need to know? Pulling a card and sitting with it, exploring the imagery, seeing what comes to you. I really think it's a lovely journaling practice to write that down and then come back to it at the end of the day and see, like, well, how did this message come to me? I've been doing that for years, and I feel like it's still so valuable and insightful to me. And I think it's such a wonderful way to ease into a deeper relationship with the cards, the universe, yourself. And just like have fun too, because even though I do feel like this is a very serious practice, it's also like it can be like fun and playful, and it's an imaginative tool. So really the best thing you can do is do it as much as possible.
Yes, and I think on that point about learning about the cards is that if you have a chaser card that keeps chasing you and keeps
Hmm.
coming out, you
Yeah.
need to look into that card.
Yes, you do. And I feel like, oh man, you know what? I mean, you can't make this stuff up, I swear. But about 6 months before I got sober, I kept pulling the Tower and the Temperance card. And I was like, ew. Like, I was like, get out of here. And like, I knew exactly what that was saying. I'd be like, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. They'd come out again, like one, both, shuffle, shuffle. They'd fall out. Like, and it was just, you know, tarot and life experiences have taught me, like, you can't resist the inevitable. And it's far better to lean into it, surrender and accept it, and do what you need to do. But I really do feel like it's powerful if a card is chasing you, to take that card out. If you have an altar, put it on the altar, put it somewhere you're going to see it, put it in your mirror, like, because I do believe that the universe is benevolent, the universe is supportive, and that card's message is here to help you. So accept the help and discover what's being said, embrace it and embody that, and it'll stop chasing you. A new card will
Yeah.
chase you.
Oh my God. Like this relationship that I don't even want to call it a relationship, this situationship that I was just in, I used to pull the devil card like every single time I'd ask about
Okay.
it. And I was just like, oh, like, are you trying to tell me that this is like a karmic relationship? Like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, I know he has addiction issues. Like, this is bad. Like, I know this is a bad thing.
I know, but the things that are bad,
Literally.
they're so fun until they're disastrous.
Yeah, I'm just like,
You know,
fuck. Like, really? Like, I was hoping for the lover's card, like, not the fucking devil.
always. Where's that 10 of cups?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know.
literally. All right, we'll move on from tarot because I could just keep talking about that for hours.
Oh,
But
same.
so tell us about the type of witchcraft that you practice.
So I am pagan, and I really do feel the connection to nature, the connection to all of the elements, the connections to ancestors, the connections to cosmic beings, and the connection to each other. And I really love working with the cycles of the moon, the cycles of the seasons. And to me, it really is a reminder of respecting the inherent power around us, that inherent power within me, and recognizing energy, how to work with it instead of against it. And honoring every step of the way of growth and how everything is important, including dormancy. And that's what I feel like witchcraft has also really reminded me of, is like how to be present and work with energy in all of these phases, even if it's not activated. And just truly the importance of deeper connection. I do feel like personally, I feel it's my responsibility as a witch to I want to make the world a better place each day, to do what I can. That means standing up for what I believe in. If someone's not being heard, I feel like handing them the microphone, amplifying their voices, putting money towards what I believe in and towards the people I believe in. It's just recognizing that all connected energy and truly the magic of kindness and listening, being present, and that it doesn't always have to be like go, 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 more, manifest, 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 manifest. There's also something really lovely about quiet, peace, receiving, enjoying. Uh, we don't need to just work constantly. Uh, but yeah, honoring that deep connection of all beings and how important that is.
Nice. I love that. That's so good. Ah! So I was looking, I'm sorry, I'm like fangirling over here.
Oh my God, I adore you.
I was looking you up online and they said that you practice on Cosmopolitan. They said that you practice color magic.
I
Do you still
do
practice that?
every day. Look at
So
my
what
hair.
is that? Yeah, I love it. I just
So
dyed my hair brown because I was like so over the blonde, and I'm looking over your hair and I'm like, I should have dyed it fucking purple or something before I dyed it brown.
well, it's there's always next time.
Yeah.
The magic's always there. So
Yeah.
every color holds a specific intention, vibration, energy, emotion. And so when we tap into that, first of all, the magic of color is happening subconsciously, unconsciously, all of the time. We're all working with the magic of color. But once you understand what each color enhances, you can work with it consciously, and it really does, it's very supportive. It's a way to work with creating that response you desire, like setting that intention into motion. And for like, I just love color. I've always loved color, and to me, it's always like the magic is better when you feel it, when you believe in it, when it's working. It's kind of like when I was talking about like how I love tarot because of the imagery. It's someone like numerology, like numbers don't excite me, but I have friends who like numbers are so thrilling. Like everything is numerology for them. So it's like that to me is like, I just think color is so exciting and vibrant. And so it's something that I really connect with nicely. And what I love about color is we all kind of know what our favorite color is, our least favorite color. That's tapping into the magic of color, because I always find what we're drawn to is what we need more of. And what we push away, we often usually need to bring in that essence as well. And you can invoke the magic of color and how you adorn yourself, your body, makeup, the food you eat, the colors you adorn your home in, flowers, crystals. But it also doesn't need to be anything other than a visualization and a meditation, because it's just as powerful and impactful. It's just what feels right to you and what's available to you.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting. I love this. Also, I
Right.
love your eyelashes. And what's your
You,
cat's name?
oh, this is polystyrene.
Oh my God, polystyrene's so good.
She's my boss, right? I know. It's so funny. She's a Taurus. She loves being the star. And I feel like any interview I do, she somehow is like makes her presence known. She must participate too. And she
I
does.
love Polly. This is
She
so
says,
good.
thank you.
I love
She
that.
loves you too.
So, what type of workshops do you host?
So I've spent several years teaching a color magic workshop, and I still teach that one, but I have to stay I always want to be like shifting, transforming, like doing things that excite me. So my color magic workshop has now transformed into a rainbow intention setting ceremony. And so what we do is, and I gotta say, it's so fun. I'm always creating things that I want to do and then sharing them. We use the magic of color to set specific intentions together, because it's also like it's very powerful to set intentions in a group, and we connect, we energize each other, we amplify each other's intentions, and then we send these intentions off into the universe with the power of the rainbow, and it's great. And so what in that space we talk about color, and everyone shares why they're there, what intention they're setting. And I offer that kind of like, well, I feel like this is the color you should be working with, and this is why. So everyone who's there gets to experience that kind of practical application of color magic, because I feel like it's one thing to memorize what every color means, but you really get to see how they come alive once they're applied in that magical sense. And I think it is a really special opportunity, because a lot of times when I'm doing color magic readings, it's one-on-one. So it's something like, here you get to experience and share with a group of people and see how these colors can be used in a variety of different intentions. So I love that. And then I also lead full moon ceremonies once a month on the Jersey Shore. I go back to my roots, leave New York City, go to the ocean. And I host those at the Asbury Hotel, and that has just been beyond my wildest dreams. It's so fun. And we have a band behind me. I lead a ritual. I mean, there's like 300 people there, and we're setting
Oh my
intention.
God.
I've
I
never
love
experienced
this.
anything like it. It's so powerful, and it's just a real dream come true. So those are my two things that I've usually doing and sharing. And I lead workshops with the artist collective Hilma's Ghost. I'm their resident witch, but we've taken a little rest from those right now because they're in the studio creating paintings. But I love sharing knowledge. I love teaching. So I'm always kind of coming up with workshops and rituals that I can share with people. And I always post them first on Instagram. So that's the space to find what's new.
I know, I love it. And also, Sarah does have a few fake profiles. There's always going to be that with
Oh,
anybody who's as great as her. So only follow the show notes down below. That's her. Any other profile is fake.
yeah. Yes. Often imitated, never truly replicated.
Yeah. And what are your retreats like?
Ooh, you know, I've been working on one for a while. Um, I haven't done one in several years, but I have something that will be coming up. I actually haven't shared that with anyone, but that's going to be, I believe, next year. And what's really important to me is like, I want something to just be like fun, like to be enjoyable, for everyone to just feel good and leave with that reconnection to their own sense of power, to their own intuition, and that they had a really fun time. Because I feel like I don't take myself too seriously. I think that's just like, I don't know. I just think it's really funny when people take themselves so seriously. I think the work is serious, but it's like, it's also really fun. It's fun to be a witch. And so that is the tenet that leads me through creating a retreat. And I want to do it. What I'm working on now is going to be different than what I did before, but it's going to be a really enjoyable time. I like, it's going to feel like that, like a witchy teen sleepover.
I love this. Is it going to be in
Right?
America?
No,
Okay,
no, it's
I'm
not.
excited.
Yes, I do have a dream. This is something I will totally admit. I have a dream of doing like something in the desert here, like maybe like I mean, I just love Joshua Tree in the Yucca Valley. Like
Yeah.
that's something, and like I love like New Mexico and something. So I have dreamt of doing something really Joshua Tree, but I have made no efforts to make that happen. So it's like it's bubbly on the surface, and I would just, but there's a couple like really dream retreats that I have in mind, and those I feel like those will be coming soon, but probably not for another year or two.
No, I love this. I mean, everyone's kind of just getting back out because of COVID.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All
And
in
what
due
are
time.
your, yeah, all in due time. What are your one-on-one services like, and how can people book you?
I would love to read for anyone who's listening here. I hope you book me. I like to think I think the best readings are a conversation. So we talk about what's going on and we do a meditation and whatever messages need to come through, I feel like truly do come through. And I always feel like you're going to leave with clarity. Like whatever it is that you want to know, we're going to find out about. Even and clarity can look different depending on the situation, but I always feel like I pride myself in wrapping things up, in giving you kind of like helping you create a plan on what to do with the information, even if that plan is like nothing, sit with it, but you're going to leave feeling that sense of closure, feeling empowered to do whatever it is you need to do, feeling clarified. And, sometimes we laugh, sometimes we're going to cry, sometimes we're going to do both. Like, whatever it is, it is. And each experience, each reading is truly unique. But I also like truly enjoy whatever it is, even if it's difficult or, um, you know, each reading is a unique experience. But it being able to do this is a dream. So anyone who books me and hires me, I'm deeply thankful for, because that's why I get to lead a life that is a dream come true every day. Like I'm not gonna be doing much if if the calendar's empty. So, it truly is. Um,
You're such a sweet person.
that's so kind of you to say.
No, you
Thank
are. Your energy is so nice.
thank you. That really does mean a lot to me. And I feel like you have such a lovely energy.
Oh, thank you.
We've had such a lovely conversation.
Yes, and so it is at the end of the conversation, but do you have any last things that you would like to say?
Well, I hope anyone listening will stay in touch. I am on social media. My preferred is Instagram, but I am on TikTok. I am on Twitter. It's all I am Sarah Potter, Sarah with an H. Oh, and you know what I'm really delighted by? I'm very excited. I launched a Substack and I am really enjoying
What
writing
is
like
Substack?
so it's almost like a blog. Remember
Oh,
blogs?
yeah.
Yes. And if you sign up, if you subscribe, it goes to your inbox. And I've been having so much fun. I just write about my favorite um the stuff I'm into. And sometimes it has nothing to do with magic or witchcraft, and it's just I'm sharing like the music I'm listening to, the art I'm enjoying, uh just the weird things I get obsessed with. And then I also, my paid subscribers get a ritual once a month that they can do at home. And it's just been really enjoyable to create in this way. So I'm very excited. Please subscribe to my Substack. And that's linked in my Instagram as well. I think it's also called I Am Sarah Potter. Try to keep everything easy. And, I hope you catch one of my rituals. I'd love for anyone. I travel a lot too. So maybe I'll be in your city, but stay in touch. I'm going to be in Denver in June doing a ritual. I'm really excited. And this was fun. I loved our conversation. I loved our time together. Thank you for having me.
No, you're so fine. Thank you for coming on. You're amazing.
You're amazing.
And you know what? She may not be creative in the sense of an artist, but witches are pretty fucking creative, man. Like,
I believe it. Yeah, I think crafting a ritual is creative. Spell crafting is creative.
yeah.
There's a lot I find that's very creative in the storytelling of tarot. So
Totally.
yeah.
If you liked this episode, you can share, rate on your listening app, or follow me on Instagram. This episode was produced, recorded, and edited in Menjin, Brisbane. 1-800-Madbutt would like to pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you.